So, okay, so we have our circle with a line in the center, and our eyes are below the center of the circle here. We're going to erase that line later, so let's make it nice and light. In between the two eyes, we want to put our nose. Now, our red panda's nose is pretty close to the bottom of his head. So it's going to be in the bottom part here, and it's going to be a triangle with the point toward the top. I'm going to make it like a round triangle here. So if you make a triangle and then round off the edges of it, we have our red panda's nose. And then just underneath our nose, we're going to just put a straight line for our red panda's mouth. The mouth is very close to the nose. Okay. So red pandas have big ears with a kind of a rounded point. So we're going to put our ears, one on each side of the top of the head. So we want to come out from the top of the head. It looks a little like antennas when you start. So it looks a little like an alien right now with antennas. And then if you come around and make a pointed ear, but a little bit rounded on the top. So not so much of a point like a cat. If you make a little bit of a U-turn right here and then come down. So you should have your red panda's ears. So I want everyone to take their fingers and measure the circle they made for the head. And if you take your fingers, or some people like to use their pencil, so I'm taking the height of that head, and I want to put a line, sorry, I bumped my camera. I want to put a little mark about the same distance. So I'm using this head as a measurement. So about the same distance below my head, I want to put a little bit of a mark. So that mark is going to become our, the top of this rock. Do you see how this red panda is sitting on a rock? So if you would like to make a really light line there, that's going to be where our red panda is sitting. And the reason we're putting that line there is so that we can put our foot right on top of the rock, and then we can start our tail coming down in front of the rock. So now that we have our top edge of the rock here, let's make the back of our red panda. So we're going to follow this curve. It comes right underneath the ear, this ear on the right, and we're going to come down and go right up to the top of our rock. And this is just a gentle curve, and it stops right on top of our rock. This is going to be the back of our red panda. Now we need to put in the front feet. We can only really see the front feet. They're black on our red panda here. So coming from the other side of the head, so the left side of the head here, I'm going to come down a little bit at an angle, and I'm going to end up just above that little mark I made here. So I'm going to leave a little bit of room. This is the top of my rock. I'm going to leave a little bit of space. And now I'm going to make the top of my red panda's paw. This is going to be a curved line that stops right on top of the rock. That's the top of my red panda's paw. Now I want to continue this line. So I made a curved line for the top of the paw. I'm going to continue it over a little bit and then come up about halfway. This is going to be the front leg of my red panda. Now coming down to the top of the rock, just past where I put the front of the leg, I'm going to make the back of the leg. This is my panda's front foot. This leg is hidden, so we don't really see the foot, but we can add the toes on the front paw here. So the toes are just a little curved shape, kind of like the top of a C. Okay. Now we need to do our back leg. So if I came over in between the top of this front leg and the back of my red panda's back, I'm going to make a C shape. So I'm going to start in the middle of this space and I'm going to make a C shape that comes down to the top of the rock. This is going to be the back, kind of the knee of the red panda. So now I have the curve of the leg. We have this big fluffy tail now. This tail is going to actually cover the bottom of the foot here. This is going to be the only foot we see, the one that we drew already. So starting, if this was a C shape, this is a C shape here. Starting kind of in the middle of that C shape, we're going to make our big fluffy tail that comes over and crosses over and is right on top of the rock here that our red panda is sitting on. So I made kind of a long wavy line and I ended it in a big C shape. Now I want to continue back up with this big fluffy tail and stop right at the top of the rock here. That line that we made that became the rock. And then I'm just going to connect the top of the tail there to the back of my red panda. So there's a few things I want us to erase now. You'll see that we made that line for the top of the rock and it's in the middle of our tail. So I want to erase that part of the rock right here. I also want to go in and erase the line I put right in my red panda's head. We don't need it anymore. So our red panda is going to have a bunch of white fur around the nose here. So we want to do a shape around our red panda's nose that we're going to keep white. So Isaac, did you try to pin the video?
We see you. We just don't see anything that you're drawing.
So you don't see the participant ArtSpark?
I had to switch to gallery view,
Yep.
but the drawing is very small. It's like the size of all of the kids, where I'm not able to pin it.
You're
But
not.
I can kind of see your panda.
Oh, okay. So you're not.
I can pin it now, and I didn't realize that's what it was. Okay.
So you can pin it?
Yes, we see it now.
Okay. And did Xander get that also pinned?
Yeah, we can't pin it. I don't know why.
I have an idea.
Okay.
If you go to not the gallery view, but the other thing,
The
Screen view.
speaker?
no, when you go to gallery view and you, there's a switch to active speaker.
Mm-hmm.
If your picture is at the bottom, if you press that plus button,
Yeah.
it'll show a display of.
Oh, perfect.
If you press on.
Thank you,
one of
Will.
the-
Thank you. That was perfect, Will. Thank you.
Will is hired as my IT
I
professional.
like it.
Thanks, Will. I don't have the same controls because I'm the host, but that worked.
Yeah.
So, and Isaac's good now?
Yes, we're good. Thank you.
Awesome. Hi, Tess, how are you? All right, I'm gonna mute everyone again. Just raise your hands. I hope we don't have any more problems. I'm also recording this and I'll put it up on our YouTube channel later if you want to go back, okay? Okay, so we want to put the white area around our red panda's nose. So what I'm going to do is make a little rainbow shape between the eyes here. And then I want to come down right to the bottom of my circle for the head. We're going to leave that white. We're not going to outline it, but when we go in with our markers or crayons or colored pencils later, this is the area we want to leave white, okay? The other thing I really like to do when I draw animals and people is put a sparkle in the eye. So the sparkle in the eye is going to look like a little, if this is the eye, it's going to be a little white circle that we don't color in. So everything else will get colored in when we color in our eyes. We'll color it in black, but we're going to leave this white circle, and this is a little reflection of the light. So if you want to put that in inside each eye, and then we need to put stripes on our tail. So I'm going to do these lightly with my pencil. I'm putting curved lines that go across my tail. So you want to do that as well. Okay. So now we're ready to outline. If you have a black pen, something like a thin Sharpie pen or a black pen that you can use to outline, we're going to go in and outline our red pandas. So we want to outline the ears. And I started my ear a little bit inside my circle here. So I'm going to move my ear a little bit inside my circle. I'm actually going to shorten my ear a little bit. I can go now and erase any lines I don't want. I can do that at the end too. So I just changed the shape of my ear a little bit. And I'm going to outline all the parts that I want to keep. I'm going to go in and make sure I put that sparkle in the eye. And if you have a black marker that you're using now that you want to fill in the eye, red pandas have nice deep black eyes, so we can use our pen and fill in the eye. And I outline my nose, my mouth. I'm not using my pen to outline this part around the nose, that's where the white fur is. I'm just going to leave that white when I go in with my markers and my crayons later. And if you want, when you're outlining, do you see right here, I'm making sort of a zigzaggy, scratchy kind of line because the tail is so fuzzy. So you don't have to do straight lines. You can do some fuzzy lines like this, if you would like. You can make a fuzzy line all the way down the back. I also want to just show where the top of the rock is going to be. I'm not going to use my outlining pen to do the stripes on the tail either, because I'm going to do those with just a brown marker. Once I have everything outlined, I like to erase anything that I don't want anymore. There should be a little mark here that we put on. Maybe there's some lines that we changed when we went over with our pen. The part of the head that's inside the ear, if you didn't outline it, it's okay if you did. If you didn't, you can erase it. If you did, your colors will go right over it. The other thing you can do if you have a black pen with you is fill in the nose. If you have a thicker black marker, you can use that as well, or a black crayon or a black pencil. Okay. So I'm going to use markers for my red panda. They're called a red panda. They're kind of a reddish brown color. So I'm going to find all of my brown markers. If you have colored pencils, you can use those. If you have pastels, you can use pastels. Crayons will work. So anything you have, I like to use these markers that I have. And then I'm going to start with the lightest colors first. So I don't want to do any color on the edge of the ear because you can see that there's white on the edge of the ear. I don't want to do any color around the mouth and the nose. And even the sides of the head over here are going to be white. So you will see that there's a darker brown on the front of my red panda, and then a lighter brown on the back, and then this kind of couple of different browns on the tail. So I'm going to actually start with the tail. The tail is a lighter brown. What I'm doing now is called inlining, and I'm going right inside the shape of my tail. And now I'm using my marker with short lines, and I'm doing them all in the same direction. So they kind of look like the fur. So I'm giving my tail some fur texture by using my marker in the direction that the fur is going. And now I'm not forgetting about my stripes. Because I used a lighter marker, this marker is called tan. I used a lighter marker. I can go over, I can still see my pencil lines where my stripes are going to be. And I can now go over, right over my stripes with a little bit darker marker. So because I did my light colors first, I can do my darker right over it. And then I don't have to go around. Now I'm going to use the same color. This is my reddish brown for the whole back of my red panda. So I'm doing that inlining again. So I'm going to fill in my whole red panda. You see, I'm still using those strokes, those short little lines. So that my fur is going to look like the texture of fur in my red panda's back. Now my red panda's face has lots of different colors on it. You can see a lighter brown, a little bit darker brown, there's white. So I'm going to put in the same color I used on the back of my red panda, just underneath the eyes over here. You see how it doesn't go all the way up to the nose, so I'm going to leave that part. I'm using a fine tip, so it's a smaller tip of my marker. If you don't have that, you can use the point of your crayon or your colored pencil or pastel. I'm just trying to be careful that I'm going around this shape that we're going to keep white, and I'm just going underneath the eyes here. I'm also doing that on the other side. So just below my eyes, next to this white shape on the nose. My red panda also has some brown fuzz on the side of the head. And then the top of my red panda's head is kind of a lighter brown. I can use this sand color here that I used on the tail. So I'm using a little bit lighter brown. I'm going to use the short strokes so it looks like the fur. So I'm using small little strokes of brown. I like to use lots of different colors when I do animals because their fur is never really just one color. And if you want to remember to leave those little white eyebrows above your red panda's eyes. And I'm leaving the ears white, but if you have a gray marker or a gray pencil, you can put a little bit of gray fur inside the ear. You can use a lighter brown here if you have it. There's a little bit of darker fur inside the ear. So the front legs of my red panda are darker. So that's the last thing I'm going to do. I like to do my darker colors last because you could always put a darker color over a lighter color. So I'm doing my inlining now, which is just going right around the edge of my shape that I want to fill in. I'm using a dark brown. You could use black here if you have black. The dark brown's a little easier to use because you can still see your black lines. And even the tip of my tail is the dark brown or black. So again, I'm putting in the darker color right over the lighter color. It works great. You don't see the white paper through. My red panda now has the tip of his tail in black. I do want to add one more thing before we go, before we're done. You can go ahead and color in your rock if you like. You can do a background. You see our red panda's in the zoo and has some grasses and leaves behind him. But one more thing I want to add, if you look closely at our red panda has lots of big, long whiskers. So right next to the nose, we're doing these last so you can do them right over the sides of the nose. So I just added my whiskers and we are all set with our red pandas. Hopefully you guys enjoyed drawing the red panda. I'm planning another class for Thursday. So if you want to check your email and ask your parents to check it out, we're going to do another drawing on Thursday this week, and it's going to be a great white shark. So if you like sharks, if you want to try and draw a shark, we're going to do the great white shark like this on Thursday. So hopefully I'll see you guys back then, and I hope you enjoyed our drawing today. That's all for now. Bye.